Good evening, everybody. I figured I should do this part two of this other video that I'm going to bring up, and then I'm finished for right now. So, I want to explain something to you, a little bit of a backstory. So, at a young age, I learned about gun rights with the gun rights organization, the NRA. So I always had a hunting license, a fishing license, and a bow license. And then eventually I had an armed security guard license, and I had a private investigation license that I could carry. So I had those licenses since the age requirement started. So, I want to explain to you a story. This is why I'm very careful with certain people and explaining these stories. But my friend Rob does want me to explain the story because it's related to law enforcement and law enforcement to begin with. So, I was in a master's degree program at Cornell University in 11, 12, and 13. Then, in the master's degree program was computer engineering / computer science. I was also in a program with a master's degree program in cybersecurity at Columbia University, which was recently, which is, you could say, 2019, 2020, 2021. I finished in 2021. I got a degree in cybersecurity, but specifically dealing with ethical hacking, meaning checking for data breaches and etc. These degrees are related to the law enforcement matter. So, Robert was in Suffolk County. He was a state trooper. And he dated a person named Marie, his first wife. And his first wife, Marie, was a nurse. So they lived in like a mother-daughter house, but they lived in the basement. And they couldn't stay here anymore. So Robert and Marie made a decision to move upstate. So they moved close to Kingston, New York. And he got a higher up job there. That's where his centralized location was. Then he moved up to Albany after that. And she worked at a hospital. I'll give you the name of the hospital, ladies and gentlemen. Just give me a second. Saint. Okay, so it was similar to a hospital like St. Peter's Hospital. It was similar to it. That's not the name of the hospital. So it was similar to that name of the hospital. Similar to it. So she worked at that hospital. Similar to St. Peter's wasn't the name of the hospital, but it was similar to that hospital. And what happened was, I had a case where, meaning I had a phone call where I was in college and they wanted me to visit. So I came from where Cornell University is in Ithaca over to, let's just say, close to Albany, where they were living. They weren't far from Albany, ladies and gentlemen. They were maybe 30 minutes away. The town is close to Stanford. It's close to Stanford, New York. Their house. They had a beautiful house close to Stanford, New York. They weren't far from Albany, nor Kingston. They were in the middle of it. So, I drive from Ithaca near Stanford, New York. There's a town that's near there that I can't think of off the top of my head, but it's on that borderline of where another town could be. I drive there, and I'm in at the time. I'm in a Toyota Tundra that I had owned. I didn't have my Oldsmobile, and I didn't have my Chevy Capri Classic, so I didn't have those cars. I had a Toyota Tundra up there that I had with a friend of mine. We purchased it together. I drove over there, and Robert's not in the house. Marie's in the house, and 2 children are there. Now, I'm not going to name the names for privacy's sake, but 1 daughter, 1 son is there. And the kids are downstairs, and they're playing with their toys or whatever, and they're close in age. One was 3, one was 5 years old. And Marie's upstairs, and I knock on the door, and the daughter answers, and I said, "Is Robert here?" And all I hear is loud banging. So when I hear anything like that, my caution is something's going on. So just as I'm pulling in, Robert's pulling in, and at the time he was a lieutenant, a state trooper. And I said to Rob, "Do not go in there. Take your kids, take your children, go outside. I have to go in there." Marie was having an affair with another person in their bed. They were having a relationship. They had an affair. This is something that children need to understand and comprehend. And there was so many things that happened with Marie. I knocked on the door. The police had to come. The state troopers had to come because of that. Because due to the fact it's a police officer, or it's a peace officer, or a lawman, or a law woman, it's a different thing. He can't touch any of that stuff. It's all evidence now. Because he doesn't know, Rob doesn't know who that person is. Now, I'm going to explain something that needs to be mentioned. She, at the time, was working, and she was doing drugs at the same time. Illegal drugs. This is something that I can explain, because it explains certain things, ladies and gentlemen, is that she had a serious problem. Now, Rob and Marie had a bad divorce. Very bad divorce. And he wanted to go after he wanted to go after the man at the time. And I said, "Rob, you can't go after him." I had to see when my licenses and credentials. No, you can't go after him. You need to let the police do their job. Get an attorney. Get an accountant. Get a financial advisor. Let them handle the situation. Don't go into the house. And it was very difficult for Rob at the time. He didn't know what to do. She was a drug addict. She didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do. His hands were up. There was no clues, ladies and gentlemen. When you do certain things in private investigation or you're in law enforcement, you don't even know. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we're at an age where there was Fred Rogers, and he made a show, and it explained certain things. But, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be honest with children and children's rights. Pediatrics means the study of children. We need to understand that it's different for a child. It's not easy for a child to go through a divorce, ladies and gentlemen. It's very difficult. So he had to back out of the situation. He had to give his gun and badge over to internal affairs, and they had to do an investigation. And he couldn't go near her because he didn't know who. Red flags, ladies and gentlemen, just like a broom. You could say this cup. Red flags, everybody. A light bulb. Everything, it was nuts. This is typical of my life. This is not something that's normal for anybody. And it's not even normal. So these are things that children don't understand. What to do in a situation. Hold on a second, everybody. Hold on. Mom, can you stop? I'm doing something. So my thing is, this is why I'm doing this video. You need to assess when you're in a marriage. See, this is something that should be explained in these books right here. This book, the Holy Scriptures, the Torah. With prearranged marriages, meaning a set-up marriage, you should have the rabbi, the priest, the imam. They should understand you before you get into this marriage, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that I've seen in a lot of cases. You need to understand what the woman is doing and what the man is doing in the marriage, or towards when they go from fiance to husband and wife. And that's something that's a very sore subject with a lot of people. It's not easy for people that are peace officers or law enforcement. And this even includes, ladies and gentlemen, armed security officers, HSO officers, firefighters, EMTs. There is no resources for this subject that I'm trying to explain. And this is something that I worked on. So I hope this helps you understand. You need, before you get into this marriage, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that Rob even wanted me to explain. Before you get into this marriage, you need to know what is going on. Does she have any debts? Does she owe any debts to anybody? Meaning, is there any credit card debts? Is there any student loan debts? These things you need to understand, because certain people hide information, and that's not a good thing. It's on the opposite side, but I'm doing it I'm helping young men, children understand as well, because the whole thing is, another thing is that you need to understand with this MK Ultra as well. That's stuff that's labeled on those childhood shows. And I'm not saying not only does Disney do this, other places do this as well with their programming children, and that's dangerous. That's something that has been the biggest problem in today's society to this day. It is a sore subject. It includes, ladies and gentlemen, it does include lawyers, it includes accountants, it includes doctors, it includes nurses, it includes everybody. But this is something that specifically I wanted to mention that's related to this other video. So I hope this helps you guys. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye.